Hello and welcome. This is Michele Christensen of One Noteworthy Life, and this is an update of my theme for 2019, which is Be Ready. At the beginning of this year, I picked the theme of Be Ready for this year, and I have an entire video on this and a playlist of updates of how I'm getting along with that theme linked in the description. But basically, my goal was to be more ready for whatever life handed me, whether it was opportunities or things that came up like emergencies. I want to feel more ready to do things like travel, to say yes to last minute plans, and to just in general feel more on top of all the things in my life. And this year, compared to in contrast, I should say, to what I've done in prior years, I didn't just pick the word or phrase. I actually drilled it down into specific action steps that I could take with the goal of helping me to experience life differently. And I want to feel differently as I go through life. So my last update on this was March 31st, and that was about 5 months ago. So I'm going to show you what's happened in the 5 months since then and how well this theme has been working out for me now that we're about 2/3 of the way through the year. So in April, well, actually back in March, I had started a habit of working on the postal mail. That is like the mail and paperwork that comes into the house for 10 minutes a day. And I continued that into April. And then there's a video on that linked in the description as well. And it worked out really well. It's really helped me to get on top of that and to not feel so weighed down by it because it's broken up into small little chunks. And I've made a huge dent in that. So that's been great. I also started batch cooking in April. If you do any cooking at all, you know that it's usually almost, it's maybe 10% more work to double a recipe as it is to make it in the first place. So I've been doing bigger batches of cooking. Like whenever I make something, I try and think about how I can make more of it. So that's also helped too. Moving on to May. So in May, I added a 2-minute hotspot cleanup to my bedtime routine. And if you're not familiar with the term hotspot or a 2-minute cleanup, that comes from Fly Lady. That's linked in the description. The Fly Lady is a system for keeping your house neat and tidy. And a hotspot is a place in your house where things tend to accumulate. So it could be where you walk in and maybe you drop all the stuff that's in your hands when you come in the door, or maybe it's a place on your kitchen counter where you pile things, or anything like that. So I spend 2 minutes while I'm getting ready for bed just cleaning up one of those spots. And I really like it. It's really easy, and it does make a difference. Like, you think that 2 minutes won't do anything, but it does. And sometimes, like, maybe if I work on the same spot 2 nights in a row, it's finished, and I don't have to think about it anymore. So I also added cooking one big thing to my morning routine. I saw the value of doing like the batch cooking, like doing bigger cooking whatever I'm making, and now I cook at least something on most days. And what I do is I try and make sure that I prepare ingredients for meals. So I might do like a big batch of rice one day, prep some vegetables the next day, cut up some fruit the next day. So there's always food available to eat right away. It's prepared, and things that you could make a meal out of. And I find that it works really well for me to do it in the morning, because once everybody's fed, and if I need to pack lunch for myself or someone else in the household, I do that. And then by that point, the kitchen's kind of a mess, and that's when I do like my big cleanup for the day. So it makes sense to do the cooking at that time of the day. And the only reason I bring that up is to just say that it's worth it to figure out how things work best for you. Because I know most people would probably do their biggest cooking of the day at night at dinner time and then clean up before bed. And for me, it works better to do it in the morning. And then do it a little bit later throughout the day as well. Small little bits of cleaning up as needed. Then in June, I started consolidating all of our finances into one software program. We've kind of been scattered all over the place, and so I really wanted to have that consolidated just to make things like taxes and doing budgeting and things like that easier. So I did start on that in June. That feels really good. And then in July, so as of July, I had been doing that habit on the postal mail for, about 5 months. And it had really been working out well. And so I felt like I was just about ready to start maybe putting that time into other things. So it was feeling really good. And even since then, for the most part, I'm not always 100% on top of it, but I know that there's nothing in there that's really urgent, like something that could be a problem later. And then in August, we had 4 small plumbing repairs made. And they were all little things, like something that didn't quite turn off correctly and things like that. But they made a really big impact on quality of life. One of my dogs was having skin issues that we have had a heck of a time trying to get treated, and we finally got that under control and on a good treatment plan. We also got the shower temperature gauge fixed, so it was a heck of a time period for plumbing issues. So along the way, in addition to writing down the things that I've actually completed and kind of things that are lending to this idea of me being more ready, I'm keeping track of things that I've learned during this process and things that I've experienced as a result of doing these things. So here are some of the things I've learned. One is that I'm getting more patient and understanding that change takes time. And I think as humans, it's so natural to just want everything right now and to think we can do everything right now. And we really just can't. Things have to kind of come in sequence. I'm also seeing how getting onto one project and seeing it fully through to completion is really the only way I'm going to get things done. And I can't just have open projects all the time. And I think in the past, one of the things that has tripped me up is if something seemed urgent, I would just start working on it, regardless of how much time I had free in my schedule to continue to work on it. And I'd end up with way too many open projects. And that just adds to stress and spinning wheels. And so I've become a little bit better at assessing when something comes in, like a new repair or something that needs to be made, whether or not I actually have time to tackle that right now, or if that needs to be kind of set aside for some time in the future. I've also learned that getting good at anything, well, certain things anyway, can take time. For me, the example is I've been doing bar classes. It's a type of fitness class based on the ballet bar. And I had never done ballet when I started, and it took me a while to get actually fairly competent and fairly decent at it. And if I hadn't been willing to endure those first few months of awkwardness and not really knowing the language and stuff, I wouldn't have gotten to have this experience of doing them and being good at them. And a friend of mine, we were just talking about this, and she wanted to learn to surf. And so she's been surfing about 5 or 6 years and feels like just in the last year or so has really gotten to a level of mastery where she feels comfortable in most settings with other people, and feels like she can kind of go out there and ride with other people and that kind of thing. But if she hadn't been willing to go through those first few years of being really awkward and falling a lot and feeling like she was the least skilled surfer in the bunch, she wouldn't have gotten to this place where she can really enjoy it and feel competent. Then certain things, and this is really the crux of what this whole theme is about, is I want to experience life differently. So even though all of these things that I've mentioned could roughly be considered experiences, this page is more about how my experience of life has changed. So the first item here, we had a leak in the sink, the kitchen sink, and I had the bandwidth to get on that right away. And so that felt really good, just to be able to be like, this is urgent. Any plumbing thing is urgent. And so within a week, I think I had the plumber out here. After he fixed it, we found a second leak, which was unrelated. And again, I was able to have him out here in a week. So that just felt really good. That was a big change for me, and not feeling like I was scrambling and scheduling it 2 weeks away because I didn't have any time in my schedule. While the plumber was here, he needed an installation manual from a part that was put in, I think 13 years ago, and I was able to email it to him instantly. And the only reason I was able to do that is because I've been putting in this time kind of getting on top of my paperwork and making sure all the manuals are either scanned or downloaded and that kind of thing. And so that felt really good, just to be able to have that, I've got that right here, and I emailed it to him immediately. My husband and I helped out with a family birthday party in August, and it was really awesome. It was really fun. The party went great, and it was just such a joy to be able to contribute to that and be there and be able to set the time aside and the effort and to do the things I needed to do ahead of time, and to just have the space and the bandwidth to do that. That was just a really awesome experience. I kind of referenced this before, but just this idea of being a better gatekeeper for myself and not opening up too many new projects, and not laboring under the false idea that just because I put it on my to-do list and open up a project or something that it's going to get done. There's really no sense in starting something if I don't have the space in my schedule to work on it. And a final thing that I've experienced, which has been really amazing and uplifting, is that I feel like the future has so much potential. I think prior to this, I just felt so bogged down by all the things that weren't done. I didn't feel as much potential for the future. And now I feel like if I just start, kind of staging things like one after the other, like I can get to a ton of things, and there's so much I can do, and I'm really excited about that. So that's pretty much the update on the Be Ready theme. That's what's been going on with this effort for the last 5 months. And so I plan on continuing it probably beyond 2019 at this point, because I have a long list of things I want to work on. So this is update number 2, and my plan at this time is to continue to publish updates probably every few months, as I have, enough to make a good enough video on. And there's, as I mentioned, there's a link to the entire Be Ready playlist in the description of this video. Thank you so much for joining me on this. And if you enjoyed this, please do subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And you'll get to see more videos like this and on related topics like goal setting, plan with me, personal growth, and of course, one of my favorite things, OneNote tutorials. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.